What is up, my Hans fam? Welcome to Hansoween Day 11. Hansoween is 31 tutorials in the month of October, which is a new tutorial every day, you know. This tutorial is a do-it-yourself play on a Masquerade mask, but with an extra gory aspect. I threw down a little hint for you guys in my first Hansoween video, which was the Crypt Keeper. Hope some of you guys got that one. This will be my actual costume this year for Halloween if I make it through this 31 days. And this will also be a couple's costume, so subscribe so you can be notified when the partner to this look comes. If you want to make this shit for yourself, let's get started. I will be using Model Magic for this entire mask, which if you don't know what it is, Model Magic is a lightweight clay that is cheap, air dries to a foamish texture, and is accessible to pretty much anyone. I'm going to start making some guts to fill up the mask, and what I found worked was finding a main focal point and branching out from there. For me, that was the eyeball. I first found out how I wanted the pieces to sit and then molded them off the mask. I made this intestine by using a spatula to give it some bulbous body, plus a little seam going down the middle. Each bulbous piece, ugh, that sounds so gross, would then stretch down into the crease we first made. Use reference pictures for this if you'd like to see exactly what our insides look outside. I found the Model Magic then does just stick and stay right into place on the mask, but you can add some tacky glue first for extra stability. I used muscles as a filler between larger pieces and did so by squishing down the clay and pushing in some stringy looking lines. You can do this in a curve motion to create some movement into the mask. I loved how the first intestine looked so much that I added another to border the bottom of the mask. You can play up the outline of the mask by using it to your advantage. Add guts that would fit right into place, so it's all cohesive and shit, you know? Fill in more gaps with other organs, even added some thin veins around to blend them together. Not all of them have to be an exact realistic size or shape of one, just make it your own. For a finger, make a sausage of the clay, and then look at your finger to see where the joints and bends are to emulate that. You can also look at a reference picture, but if you have your finger right there, you know, might as well look at your finger. Fingers have fingernails and lots of texture. Add creasing in the joints and some rough dotting around the bottom to show that it's all fleshy and ripped off. Yum. Above one eye, I wanted some teeth and gums, so I'm going to begin with the gums. I used this curved spatula to create each individual gum line. Since this is where the tooth connects with the gums, they would protrude outwards. You can create this by putting your tool in the line that you put down and moving it back and forth so that it creates somewhat of a curved V. For the teeth, push out an area towards the bottom and then make some little teeth. Glue those on because they are a separate entire piece, so they're not really stuck to anything, just so that they don't move anywhere, and I decided to leave some missing. Continue to fill up the mask with whatever gory little guts your heart desires, while trying to still create movement within the mask. A great art piece will always keep the eye moving. And when I say movement, I mean use these clay pieces to create these organic shapes so that your eye just wants to keep looking all over the mask. Alright, this heart is by far not to scale, but we'll just say that it's not a human heart. I just like the look of these arteries sticking up and some of that rough texture inside the holes and around the heart itself. I put down another tip of a finger. You can repeat some of the little organs and flesh pieces you put down if you want, like I did. With this organ, I show you that you can also create some veining texture with a sharp little spatula into the mask itself instead of just relying on paint. For the brain up top, create lots of little C shapes and organic curves for the signature brain look, and curve the edges a bit down into the lines. You want the brain to just flow, all the curves to flow into each other. Let that fully dry before you paint it, or else it could crack a little bit and kind of the clay will shrink. I left it overnight, and for the paint job I will be using acrylic paints. I purposely left this part of the mask bare to break up all of the build and painted with a skin tone so it's not just all guts. Paint the gums with a light pink and add more red as you get around the top of the gums, between them, and under the teeth. Acrylics are great to use because you can layer them and water them down for more of a wash instead of just straight paint. Keep layering the paint, and right on top of the teeth on the bottom of the gums would have a little bit of dark pink there too. The gaps in which the teeth are missing would be super dark, especially red again. Whenever you're near another organ, add more color because it would be casting a shadow downwards onto the other. For the teeth, always following a damn trend of yellow. I just love fucking yellow teeth. I fill those in with a watered down mixture, then highlight with white on the center of the tooth. Add a bit more brown to the paint, little mixture that you made, to deepen and grunge up the teeth, focusing that color towards the top and between each tooth. Add black in the gap of the missing tooth, because that would be super dark. For the muscles, make a light pink flesh tone wash, and for the brain I added a bit more brown for a fleshier color. The amount of times I say flesh in this video, goddamn. With some brighter pink, darken in the crevices and highlight on the top portions. Pretend that all of these little shapes are like balls. As it curves downwards, it would have shadow, and then as it curves upwards, it would have highlight. The fingers get straight up skin tone, obviously, with red for the bloody ripped up edges. Pull the red up onto the finger a little bit so that it looks like the finger just has some blood trailing up top. Unless you want it to look like you just sliced that shit clean off. Up to you. Darken the creases with brown because wrinkles recede into our skin so they are darker. The heart gets a bright ass red and the intestines get pink. Lots of reds and flesh tones in this. Another time I said flesh! Flesh, flesh, flesh. A rule of thumb to keep for any feature that you make on this mask is to start with a mid-tone shade, add a darker color into that mixture you created for the parts that you push down into the clay, and then add white to that paint mixture to then highlight the parts that pop forward. It's going to be a lot of custom mixing for this mask, but that's what painting's all about. You keep adding and layering until you have that perfect gradient. Though we made some actual 3D veins, I painted some on as well with a small detail brush and some red paint. The eyeball is my favorite part ever with this tutorial. Water down some red paint so that it's mainly water, which is, I mean, like a fucking touch of red, and wash the entire eye with the color. I used brown for the iris and a small circle in the middle of the eye, and highlighted the top and bottom portions for a more realistic gleam. You want this to look super dimensional because it's a fucking eyeball, so it needs to be dimensional. Add a pupil and then use straight white to add the glossy highlights. With that same watery red paint, just draw on some veins to intensify the whole irritated eye look. Add one last little white highlight on the actual eye because that would be glossy too. Livers have this deeper color, so I made one slightly similar for a few of the pieces, and it also worked to darken the stringy lines inside the muscles. Try to spread out the colors as much as you can as to not repeat two colors right next to each other. I know they're all very similar, but if you break it up, again, it'll keep the eye moving. The skin just didn't look cohesive enough, so using that same method I did with the eyeball, I made watery red color paint and started putting on some veins, starting with larger under the skin looking ones and then adding some small and intense ones on top. I wanted to look like the organs were branching out with veins onto the skin. So I originally did this and left it, then filming a small makeup look with it like this, but I didn't love the outcome. I wanted it really glossy. Sealing it will also make sure that the paint job lasts. I used clear nail polish for this, which worked great, but you can also use a proper resin to set it. For the actual makeup to go with this, I kept it easy. Start with your normal glam look that you love. I applied red lipstick, which is a Pulp Fiction one that I adore from Urban Decay, all over, and then with a small blending brush, buff that around the edges to distress it. Drag the color down to the two sides to act as a messy, dripping blood. With Kat Von D's Homegirl, I darken the inner portion to give a bitten look and bring that into the blood drips as well. When done, hold up your mask to see where it hits on your face and mark it. You want the blood to go far past that line since this is what shows most of the time when you're wearing the mask. You can do this a couple of ways. You could use the same lipstick you used earlier like I am doing, or you could use actual fake blood. You could do the blood all the way from the eye area so that it's cohesive when you take off your mask. Or if you're like me and you will not take off the mask on Halloween, you can focus the blood just under where it lays on your face. Just maybe not both at the same time. Looks kind of weird. Smudge the color and layer it as much as you please, and then secure behind your head. If you want to remove the mask, just glue a wood stick to one side instead of having it tied behind your head, so that every time you want to remove your mask, you don't have to like fucking finagle with it and take it off every time. If you're afraid of it moving around a bit, just put some Prozade under the mask to adhere to your skin. That's for if you're wearing it always. That shit won't go anywhere. And this is the entire tutorial. Oh, I love it so much. I hope you guys do too. I can't wait to wear it for Halloween. I better be able to go out. I'm gonna go out and get fucking drunk. Use the hashtag Hanzoween to show me your recreations. I love seeing your work. Make sure to tune in tomorrow to see the partner to this look. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will just see you guys tomorrow. Oh, and I love the fuck out of you.